Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. As you can tell from the title of this video, it's all about the running costs of my car. Now what I've tried to do is what I'm going to do rather is talk about the more obvious costs such as fuel, and I've also decided to talk about a few things from my experience of owning an S3/RS3 that I feel you'll probably be spending money on as regularly as I do. So just to give you some context, this morning I went out to make this video. The weather was crap. It was windy, it was overcast, it was very cold. So I decided to just scrap the video because I didn't want to go back to the car park, even though I secretly did. But that video didn't work out, too busy for it to work out. So I'm sat here in my kitchen and I'm on baby duty. So the screaming you can hear in the background is my child. She's at the age where she's currently going through this screaming phase. She's just found this ability to scream. It's quite new. I'm going to try and keep it to a minimum, but yeah, do bear with me. So, running costs. I'm just going to jump right into the most obvious running cost, which is fuel. Now, I do around 230 miles per week for my commute. So it's a 23 mile each way journey to and from work. And I haven't really got a good grasp as to whether or not a full tank of fuel will last for the whole week. And that's because I've lost track of when I'm actually putting the fuel in the car. So in addition to driving it to and from work, I'm also using it at the weekend. So do bear that in mind. But let's talk about some figures. So it costs around £60 and 50p to fill my car. And I only ever fill the car with super unleaded. And where possible, I always try and aim for a BP garage. I don't know why. It's just preference. If I have to, I'll go to a Shell garage, but I never go to supermarket petrol stations. Just never do it. I don't know why, just not a fan of doing that. I know in the grand scheme of things, it's probably all the same, but I don't know. There's something in my head that tells me don't do it. So for that £60 and 50p, you get 325 miles. To give you some comparison, in my S3, that cost me between £45 to £50 to fill up, and I was getting 375 miles. So there's a 50 mile difference between the two cars. Now my average miles per gallon at the moment is 21 miles per gallon. And I can only put that down to the weather conditions that we've had here in the UK over the past, month or two. It's been wet, snowy, sleety, if that's even a word. And just generally the conditions have been crap. So I've had to put my foot down that bit more just to get the car moving. I would say that driving to work, I'm usually just taking it easy, especially in the mornings. Despite driving down country roads to get to work, I'm just not interested in racing anyone or driving fast in the morning. You take me over, it's all good, you can have it. Occasionally when I'm coming home, I'll drive a little quicker, but that's more just because I want to get home. But I wouldn't say that I'm driving full on. So do I think that a full tank of fuel will last a week? I don't think so, but I am going to do some tests, so I will update you on that. But at the moment, using the car for work and the weekend, I'm probably using a tank and a half of fuel per week. So that gives you some idea. Now, the next thing to talk about is tax. So here in the UK, the tax structure has now changed. So your car now falls into a band. You have three options for how you can pay for your car tax now. You can pay for 6 months. 6 months costs £247.50, and 12 months costs £450. You do have the additional option of paying for it by direct debit every month, but that ups the cost by £22.50. So it becomes £472.50 for the year. You can only pay by direct debit for the year. Hello. Is that necessary? So that's tax. Now the tax is much, much more expensive than my S3 was. I think, and don't quote me on this because I never paid it, it was a lease car, but I think it was around the 200 mark. But this was before the tax system changed altogether. So now, in terms of the maintenance of the car, so servicing is going to vary, and I think this will actually vary depending on which Audi garage you take it to, if you decide to take it to an Audi garage to begin with. So the rough estimates I have for servicing are around £200 for the first service and around £350 for the second service, which is not too different from a regular A3 service. If I'm being honest, my S3 was exactly the same, which is what I'm basing these estimates on. And from the research I've done, it doesn't look as though an RS3 costs any more. Now, I haven't had the car long enough to actually know myself, because it's not due its first service. Probably won't be until, you know, later this year, September, October time. But that's the estimate I'm working with. Now, the parts is where it can be expensive. So I don't want to go into too much detail about all of the different parts, but let's start with the brakes. So the brakes are... Hello. The brakes are almost double what they would be for an S3. So the brake discs are £320 and the brake pads are £345. So a big difference there. I should point out that it's per disc. So the next big thing is the tyres. So currently on my car, and I do have some B-roll which I'll kind of insert now, are Pirelli P0. They are 255/30/19 at the front and 255/35/19 at the rear. From looking online, the cheapest place you can buy these tyres is from Black Circles, and they are just under £200 per tyre. There are cheaper alternative brands. I can't speak to the quality of any of those brands. I had Pirellis on my S3 as well. So to me, I'm not tracking the car. So from just using them on the road in all weather conditions over the past couple of months, I can say that I think the tyres are actually really good, and I'll definitely be sticking with them. Now, the next thing is engine oil. So again, I'll insert some B-roll of the engine oil that I'm using because I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's a Castrol oil. It's the oil that comes with the car, so they give you a little 1 litre bottle with the car. And my advice would be to constantly check your oil where possible, because in both my S3 and this car, I've noticed that they just seem to go through oil much quicker than the estimated amount. So my RS3 needed to have the oil upped just this week. So a couple of days ago, I had to take the car into Audi and I had to have the oil topped up. It was below the minimum, but no warning light had come on. So my advice, check it. Just check it. The only reason I noticed it needed to be topped up is because there was smoke coming out of the grille of my car, and yeah, that wasn't right. The oil costs $19.50 for a 1 litre bottle from Amazon. I think if you buy it from Audi, you're probably going to be paying a little bit more than that. And I couldn't find any answers about how much a 4 litre bottle would cost. Just couldn't find it anywhere, but dig around and you'll get the idea. My estimate is around £45 for 4 litres, which, yeah, I'm pretty sure it'll be around that mark. Again, you could probably get that cheaper elsewhere if you dig around enough. Now, the other thing I seem to be spending money on regularly, and it's not a big deal, is washer fluid. for some reason, both cars just go through washer fluid. And you know what's crazy is I don't feel like I'm just excessively cleaning my windscreen, but for some reason, I'm just getting through the 4 litre, is it 4 or 3 litre bottles of washer fluid. It's crazy. Just with this car alone, in a 3.5 month period, I've gone through 2 bottles already. So it's crazy. It's no big deal. It's $4.99 from Halfords. I usually just get the -10 one because it's berry scented, because I don't like apple scented stuff. So yeah, something else to be aware of. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about was, do I think that an RS3 is an upgrade from the S3? So quite a few people have actually commented on this. They commented this, I should say, in a few of my videos, wondering, you know, was it worth it? So just to give you some context, I had a 2015 S3, so pre-facelift, no pops, no bangs, still sounded nice. The reason I think it's worth it is because it is a completely different car, and if anybody tells you that it isn't, they're lying. It 100% is a different car. Now, of course, they are the same inside. You're gonna have to bear with me, I'm opening a baby biscuit. They are the same inside. You know, obviously mine is very different for me because my car didn't have virtual cockpit. So that's, you know, very new, but other than that, they're the same inside, but they do just drive very, very differently. Now, the S3 is probably a little punchier, because of it having the smaller engine, and the boost seems to kind of kick in much earlier in the revs. So my S3 felt a little punchier, but when it kind of started getting to higher end, say, you know, 65 miles an hour, it started to kind of, you know, lose its legs a little. Whereas the RS3 will just keep going. It will just keep going and going and going until you take your foot off the accelerator sensibly. I am intrigued to know what would happen, or how it would feel if you were to try and get that car to top speed. But yeah, it's just crazy. And I'm not suggesting that the S3 is quicker than the RS3, not at all. It's just a completely different sensation when you're driving the car. And for some reason, in the RS3, it feels so much bigger and beefier, and I don't know. It's hard to explain, but in my opinion, they are worth the upgrades from S3s. Now, if you were to remap an S3, would you notice it as much? Probably not, if I'm being completely honest. Probably not. You also have, you know, I guess to an extent, you know, an S3 is a little easier to remap and to tune than, say, an RS would be. But I think it depends what you're in it for. So if you just want a quick car, a quick S3, then go the remap route, apologies. But for me, it was all about owning an RS car and the experience and the sound, because that's one thing you're not going to get. You might get close or similar, but it's not going to be that 5-cylinder sound. So yeah, to me, it's worth it. Definitely worth it. I can't imagine why anybody would be disappointed unless they were coming from a remapped S3 and they were only focusing on the speed and not the overall driving experience. Okay. So that is the running costs of the car. I think I've covered everything. Let me know in the comments if I haven't. I'm sure I have. I read through all of your comments before making this video just to make sure that I did actually address everything. But whilst I have my laptop here next to me, let me just go and quickly pick out a few random comments. Let's just see what we have. So the total monthly fuel costs, I've kind of covered that. Can I do a 5 things that I love and hate about my RS3? Well, as this is YouTube and that is the YouTube car thing to do, I do plan on making those videos. I actually have a few things noted already for the why I hate the car. How much a service is, we've covered that. Can I make more fun vids of the car? All this finance talk is a bit boring. Absolutely. So I do have some driving videos planned in the very near future. So do you fill up at Shell, BP, etc.? So again, address that. Super unleaded always, never regular fuel. And oh, the insurance. So I did actually cover this, but the insurance costs me £110 per month. I just choose to pay my insurance monthly. Miles from a tank. Again, 325 miles from a full tank. And yeah, I think that's it. So because my baby has decided that she wants to start acting up, this is going to be a good time for me to wrap the video up before she starts screaming the house down. So with that said, I think we'll wrap it up here and we'll say bye. You say bye. Say bye. Are you waving? The wave, by the way, is we're teaching her to wave. She actually waves. You say bye. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so until the next video, I hope you've enjoyed this one, and peace.